Fake olive oil has become a real epidemic. According to an article in Forbes magazine, up to 80% of Italian olive oil on the market may be counterfeit. This percentage may be too high, but what is certainly true is that issues with fake or improperly labeled olive oil are increasing, with fraudulent schemes being uncovered all across Europe, from Italy to Spain and Portugal. The vast majority of fraud cases discovered in the food sector today are specifically related to olive oil. So what is happening? And how did it come to this? Rapidly rising temperatures in the Mediterranean region have destroyed part of the olive harvest. As a result, olive oil supplies have decreased and prices have skyrocketed, which of course makes selling counterfeits highly profitable since production costs are low, while they can be sold at the premium price of real olive oil. Even setting aside the impact on health, if you want olive oil and are paying for it, you should receive olive oil. So here are 10 tips on how to avoid counterfeits and purchase truly high-quality olive oil. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. High-quality olive oil is usually harvested, pressed, and bottled in the same region. Ideally, olives are pressed shortly after being harvested to preserve freshness. If they are transported from different countries to Italy before bottling, the oil is generally less fresh. Do not be swayed by an attractive label design. You should look for very specific information. If the oil was bottled or blended in a place different from where the olives were grown, this information is legally required to be on the label. It is often printed in small text and is usually a sign of a lower quality product. A particularly common phrase is "bottled in Italy," which creates the impression that the oil comes from Italy, but that is not necessarily true. Here's a real-life example. At first glance, everything looks fine. It says extra virgin olive oil, but the word blend starts to raise suspicion. Then, when you look at the back of the label, it states that the oil contains products from Italy, Greece, Spain, Tunisia, Egypt, Turkey, Syria, Morocco, and Portugal. It is like the United Nations, and it was packaged in Italy. This means these oils were sourced from all over, mixed together, and bottled in Italy. Not ideal. Another oil states packed in Italy, but the oil itself comes from 3 or 4 different countries. The fact that these oils are packed or bottled in Italy is purely a marketing tactic. I mean, the air in Italy does not magically make the oil better. I could assemble a Yugoslavian car in Rome, but that would not make it a Ferrari. If the label says 100% Italian, it is slightly more informative. It does not necessarily mean it is high-quality oil, but at least it was not shipped from 4 different countries before being blended and bottled. You should aim for oil that specifies a single country, and ideally one that also mentions a specific region. Just like with wine, the flavor and quality of olive oil are tied to where the olives are grown, the soil, climate, and olive varieties. High-quality olive oils often proudly state the specific region where they were grown and bottled. So you might see Puglia or Tuscany or Andalusia or Alentejo rather than just Spanish or Italian oil. In general, the less generic, the better. Some bottles even have a QR code that you can scan to trace the entire production chain. The more information provided, the lower the likelihood of counterfeiting. Not every bottle of olive oil will have this information, but if it does, that is a good sign. It indicates higher quality oil. Ideally, olive oil should be consumed within 2 years from the harvest date, and the best time frame is within 1.5 years. Every bottle will have a best before date, but that is not the same thing. That does not tell me when the olives were actually harvested. This also means that if you use olive oil very slowly in your household, if your bottle lasts a long time, it might not be a good idea to buy a large quantity. Otherwise, you will end up using it past the ideal period of 1.5 to 2 years. So purchasing the right amount based on your consumption rate is a smart choice. Packaging. Proper packaging plays a crucial role in preserving the freshness and benefits of olive oil. This product is sensitive to light, air, and temperature, so the type of container directly affects its quality. The best option is a dark glass bottle. It protects the oil from ultraviolet rays, which can trigger oxidation and destroy valuable antioxidants. If the oil is stored in a clear container, especially under bright store lighting, it may lose some of its beneficial properties, even before purchase. The packaging material is also important. Glass is considered the ideal choice because it does not interact with the oil or release harmful substances. Metal containers can also be a good solution if the interior has a safe coating that prevents direct contact between the oil and the metal. Plastic containers, on the other hand, are far from the best option. Even if they are opaque, plastic allows oxygen to pass through, accelerating oxidation. Additionally, with prolonged storage or exposure to heat, plastic may release harmful chemical compounds. To keep olive oil fresh for as long as possible, it is best to choose dark glass bottles or metal containers and store them in a cool, dark place. If the oil is sold in plastic, it is advisable to transfer it to a glass bottle immediately after purchase. Wording and marketing. Number 4, do not fall for meaningless words on the label. Pure olive oil, light olive oil, mild, smooth, authentic. These terms do not mean anything. It is just marketing. In fact, pure olive oil and light olive oil usually refer to refined varieties. Here's another example. Do not confuse extra light with extra virgin. This is actually a blend containing refined oils from 3 different countries: Spain, Tunisia, and Portugal. If you are planning to use the oil for frying, for example, it might be fine. But do not mistake it for high-quality extra virgin olive oil, and do not pay a premium price for such a product. Also, organic olive oil does not necessarily mean it is high quality. It simply means the olives were grown organically. Another thing to consider, cold pressing does not actually add much useful information because all extra virgin olive oil is extracted without heat. In general, the more information, the better. That is why checking chemical characteristics such as polyphenol content and free fatty acid levels is a good additional step. The acidity should be low. For extra virgin olive oil, it should be below 0.8%. Many bottles will not have this information on the label, but if they do, that is another good sign. Some brands also provide this information on their websites. Virgin or not. Most people know that we should aim for virgin or extra virgin olive oil, and that is because of polyphenols. These compounds provide certain health benefits, and the refining process reduces their amount. Virgin olive oil is still unrefined, just like extra virgin. It is simply slightly more acidic than extra virgin. So depending on the dish you plan to use it for, virgin olive oil might be perfectly fine. It is just that extra virgin has a slightly better taste. Now, is it enough for a bottle to say extra virgin olive oil? No. According to a test conducted by the Olive Center at the University of California, Davis, yes, such a place exists, and they have an entire center dedicated to studying olives and olive oil. They tested nearly 200 samples of olive oil labeled as extra virgin and sold in California. Most of the best-selling imported brands did not meet the standards for extra virgin status. This was a rather shocking result, and fake virginity is just the beginning of the problem. It is said that when we buy Italian extra virgin olive oil, there is a high chance that it is neither Italian nor extra virgin, and in some cases it may not even be olive oil at all. Some counterfeit olive oils take real olive oil and mix it with other vegetable oils that are cheaper. But in certain instances, they even mix it with non-food substances such as lamp oil and dyes. The mafia. According to Olive Oil Times, yes, that actually exists. There was a massive seizure of counterfeit olive oil in Italy this year. Authorities found all this fake olive oil already bottled and labeled as Italian extra virgin olive oil. Clever tricksters. Italian law enforcement called this operation Yellow Gold. Wait, isn't all gold usually yellow? This fake olive oil operation is such a massive scheme that even the mafia is involved. They take olive oil from Syria, Turkey, and North Africa, and then sell it as Italian olive oil in the United States and Japan. They even have an entire sector of the mafia dedicated to these agricultural frauds called the agro-mafia. I do not know about you, but these guys do not sound like the scariest gangsters. You have drug lords, contract enforcers, and then the guys making counterfeit olive oil. Probably not much street credibility there. But the joke is on me because they are making huge money. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. According to the Financial Times, just imagine, Profits from olive oil can be higher than those from illegal substances, and with way less risk. Yes, I'm not kidding. I cannot wait for the next Narcos spin-off where they smuggle olive oil across borders and dress salads in dark rooms. Honestly, I would totally watch that. Certification. In Europe, for example, there is a protected designation of origin, or PDO, and they have this red and yellow seal on bottles they certify. Keep in mind, if the label is in Spanish or Italian, this abbreviation will be reversed. So instead of PDO, it will be DOP. There's also a protected geographical indication, or PGI, which appears as IGP if it is in Italian, and they have a blue and yellow seal. In the United States, the California Olive Oil Council has its own certification seal, which is green and yellow. Europe gets all the recognition, but California actually produces some pretty good olive oils, as we will see in a moment. Australia has some great ones as well. Italy is not the only place with excellent olive oil. The North American Olive Oil Association has a red seal. Some of these organizations have published lists of different brands and types of olive oils they certify. I will include some of them in the description. This is definitely a good step to boost confidence in what you are buying. It is not 100% foolproof, I suppose, because seals can be counterfeited, and even among olive oils approved by these organizations and carrying certification seals, the quality can still vary. Ratings and prices. For example, there is a Consumer Reports ranking, and among the oils they reviewed that have these certification seals, some ranked much higher than others. Interestingly, all 4 California olive oils they tested received really good ratings, even those that did not have certification seals. And here is the good news. High-quality olive oil does not have to drain your wallet. In the Consumer Reports ranking, one of the highest-rated oils costs around $11 per bottle. It is a Sicilian extra virgin olive oil sold at Aldi, and it actually has the protected designation of origin seal. Consumer Reports also has a separate ranking where they reviewed olive oils sold at Trader Joe's. They found 2 that were fairly high quality and actually quite affordable. I will also include a link to that ranking in the description. That said, extremely cheap olive oil priced at $3 or $4 per bottle is much more likely to be low quality or even counterfeit because it is just really, really difficult to produce high quality olive oil at that price. Oh, and by the way, I am not affiliated with any brand or store. No sponsors. I am also not connected to the agro mafia. They did not make me an offer I could not refuse. Forget about it. Taste testing. You cannot judge olive oil by its color. It is really tricky. Some counterfeit olive oils contain added pigments, like chlorophyll, which is a plant pigment, to give it that slight greenish tint. So color can be faked. Taste, not so much. Low quality or fake olive oil will have a greasy, flavorless taste. If it has gone rancid, it may even taste like crayons or have a waxy texture. Real olive oil has a distinct flavor. Some people describe it as grassy. Others call it peppery. The sharp taste or tingling sensation on your tongue comes from polyphenols. And of course, at the end of the day, it tastes like olives. Once you have tried real olive oil and know what it tastes like, it becomes much harder to fool you. That is why taste is really, really difficult to fake. Storage strategies. This is a bonus tip. Once you have that high quality olive oil and bring it home, how do you store it to keep all that goodness intact? You do not want to keep it on the counter. You should store it in a dark, cool place to protect it from light and heat. You also do not want to leave it near the dishwasher, close to the oven, or next to the stove. I have made that mistake before. And of course, that is because it gets indirect heat. Finally, after each use, make sure to close the lid tightly to prevent air and oxygen from getting inside. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.